Hello, this
Hello,
this is Reginald Bennett,
this is Bipush.
and so for SIE 515, the Human Computer Interaction course, it's going to be our storyboard video. You can see here what our assignment was, which is the interactive information appliance for elderly. This is going to essentially be software that uh, enables elderly to be more or less isolated and more involved with the community, their friends, and some of their other requirements.
The main goal is to improve the quality of life and, like Regi said, reduce social isolation, and also that they could easily connect with their family members and doctors, and so that they could get reminders of their appointments or information and schedules and things like that.
Now, here's some of the brainstorming and base concepts that we had discussed when trying to create this. We want to create one, a mobile app, and then two, a web page. So the mobile app is so that when the user is away from their home or computer, most people these days are getting tablets or at least phones that have tablet type capability. So by making an easy web face and hopefully one with big enough buttons, then they should be able to take the application wherever they go, whether it's an actual discrete application or independent one, or it's just a web page that they access. That's gonna be different. We figured the application would be good so that if they're not connected to the internet, they can still have access to the most recently updated information.
And we want to make it similar to Facebook and any other social networking site, so that they are already familiar with some of the stuff that we will have in the application. And there will also be uh, opportunities for the users to do voice chat or even voice communication and video chat like Skype. So,
So yeah, so again, it's both tablet and web page, and you'll see at the bottom of this page, it says simplicity is really when we were looking at the persona and our generic users and everyone that's using it. Simplicity is really the key ingredient here, and that's in order to reduce one remembering how to use it, initial user interaction and learning of the features, and that way if someone's using it and if one of the actual designated users is using it and they ask for help from someone, it doesn't take 2 or 3 minutes to learn the software in order for that person to help them. Um, the interface should be intuitive enough that right from the get-go, someone should be able to be like, oh, okay, this is how you do that. And I think we've achieved that pretty close. So again, simplicity. One of the other primary things that we want to do was, if you want to go ahead and
yeah, one of the things we focused on was that we didn't want the levels of the interface to be deeper than 4. Uh, so that would definitely help in minimizing the memory load for the user. And since our user group is the elderly, it would definitely help them, since they face issues with uh, memory, like short-term memory issues. So yeah.
So then again, not only does a larger interface require simplicity because you don't have the ability for a ton of options, but it also hopefully makes it easier to spatially recognize what options you used last time to do something. And then also, in some cases, the lesser amount of options or buttons you have also prevents crazy errors from occurring if each button does a deliberate action. So this is the concept for our interface. Again, the simplicity, no more than 3 clicks, trying to keep it lower than 4 levels of depth, and then the larger graphics. We'll go ahead and step through each part of our interface here, and then explain it, and then give you a couple of examples.
So the highlighted portion is the simple and advanced button. The simple one is the screen that you're looking at. It basically gives you very simple things, and mostly not geared towards data entry. It's mostly for to see what the data there already exists. But if the user is familiar enough that the user wants to do data entry or more complex things, then there's an option to choose the advanced features.
And so yeah, so the advanced is kind of a placeholder right now. We'll be going through the functionality of the simple interface, which again, as was mentioned, is what you see ahead of you. Quick overhand, you can see top left corner, which the simple acts kind of as a home button or the Windows button. It brings you back to your initial screen every time. So if you get lost somewhere in the 3 layers of depth, You just click simple and it'll bring you back here so the user can start back over. So that will always be a comfort and always it will always exist in software. So no matter where you are, you can always kind of reorient yourself here. And then, as we said, we'll kind of discuss each one as we go forward. Up on the top right, you'll see the user information. Now, this is just going to display what user is logged in the time and the date. This is just in case multiple people are using the same device and they want to log in, or they just need that quick information. Again, it's to provide comfortability and familiarity of the interface to the user, as well as some relevant information.
And we make it such that wherever the user is, the date and the time would be adjusted off accordingly. Let's say if the person was in Maine and he or she went to California for some time, then the date and the time would be fixed accordingly. So,
Okay, up here in this section, this is not something that you directly change. The system determines what goes in here, and so you'll see in there, reminders from the calendar, birthdays, maybe even some events such as like, you need to take your pills, or if you wanted to set up some type of, some people like to give a quote of the day, like be nice or whatever it is. This will just be the random snapshot of pertinent information for the user. These will be clickable links, so if it's a link to an event in the calendar, then they can click right there and it'll take them to the full information. Again, it's just a quick snapshot, kind of a quick to-do list or reminder list for the user.
some of the events will be pulled from the calendar, where the user would have added, let's say, like birthdays or things like that. And yeah, he or she will be able to see it once they log into the application. And this is the main primary menu in the software. This is calendar, contacts, medical services, and events and social. And this is the first significant selection choice. By calendar, the user can go and add things into it. Contacts is basically like any other mobile phone or any other device. And also we included medical services in which the user could directly contact medical services around them. And events and social would be where what things are going on like this week or maybe within a month. We'll be discussing more about these things later on.
So, and again, so you'll see the calendar and contacts. We'll go through those kind of thoroughly. And the medical and services, it's just, so we're talking about, the different doctors someone might have. And this will, when you see the contacts, it just allows them to put them in a different category, a different selection of the menu. And the services is things like, if I need my plumbing fixed or I need the car repaired, things like that. So again, it's all the different types of services that aren't necessarily friends, but still things that are critical to their lifestyle. They're there in a separate menu. And then you'll see here very simply, this whole portion of the menu here at the top and the bottom right, that's going to be the content menu, and that's every selection you make is pretty much going to show up there. So the outer border that we showed you will remain relatively fixed again, so it stays familiar and people know where they need to go in order to navigate. So here we'll go ahead and show you some examples on how you select different things in our software.
So when the user clicks calendar, a calendar will pop up showing which week it is, and then as you can see in the 19th, since today is the 19th of March, it's been circled, and there also are green brackets and red ones showing numbers in the day, which they basically indicate what events are there, and red are important events while green ones are not so important. And we also included parentheses and square brackets, just so that if there are any users who are colorblind, they can easily distinguish between these two.
And so the interface is fairly simplistic, intuitive, things we've seen before. Up at the top, if the user were to explore, you'd find that if you click on either the February or April arrows, it'd take you to those months. Or if you wanted to look at the whole year calendar in order to pick a different month, you could just click on 2014, and that would bring you. And then, concordant or consistently, it would also bring you to a menu that not only showed the year, but then at the top you have the ability to go forward a year or back a year. That way you can quickly navigate chronologically instead of just clicking 4 forward on the month over and over and over. The add event is going to link you to one of the forms in the advanced, but that will that's something that we'll get into a little bit later on. But so anyway, in this case right here, the user has clicked calendar. This is the the feedback, and then the user has clicked on the 3rd of March, which is a Monday. You can see there it's highlighted. It gives you a confirmation for a couple seconds before transitioning screen. That way the user knows that they were successful in what they were trying to achieve. And you also see that kind of a cookie crumb type menu has been dropped down underneath calendar on the left side. So the user knows that they can navigate back to calendar, or if they do any further depth into Monday the 3rd, they can always click back to Monday the 3rd and get back.
The inspiration for this cookie crumb menu was forums where you can, the more you click on links, the more you see on top where you are exactly, and it's much easier to navigate. So that was the inspiration.
And again, as we talked about, simplicity is the main thing here. We're only on our second click. So the first one was calendar. Second one was clicking which day they wanted to view. And then this is, remember, we had one important event and 3 just common events. And so this is what was given to the user after they clicked that day. So that's pretty straightforward. It gives the time, gives kind of a title. And then again, just kind of like the reminder section at the top left, all of these are going to be clickable links. And this is, again, going to be used either on a web page or more commonly on an application. So the person can just use their finger, obviously, to select it. And for this case, we're going to go ahead and select one of the common events, the Lunch with Friends at Tim Hortons. Again, you'll get kind of a recognition, confirmation that your click went through.
And once you click that, it'll show you what kind of event it is, and what date, what time, and address, and details. And it also shows you who you're attending the event with, and the colors in the with part, like the people, they show that whether they are online or not. So like Cat Lady is online, so it's in green, while Sam the Man is not online. So it gives you more detail as to what the event is about and where it is. And you can also, there's a button to also edit the event, which will take you to the advanced section.
And again, so this is our 3rd click, because if you remember, we went calendar, then we went March 3rd, then we clicked on an event. And this is the kind of the end of our stop here with the calendar, unless you want to get into the advanced stuff, which is the editing. As I mentioned before, the colors are going to remain consistent, whether online or offline, the common and important. And then in here, one of our goals was to reduce social isolation. So that's why we have the with category here, so that you say, hey, I'm going with Cat Lady, and if I want to talk to her real quick about what am I going to order, or should I bring some pinochle cards or something, I can click right there and it will bring me to her profile, which we'll be showing you inside the context menu next.
So this is the context menu. Once the user clicks this, contacts will pop up, and the color scheme is, we've tried to make it as consistent. And green is if the person is online, and red is if the person is offline. And all of these are also clickable. So once you click on one of these profiles, you'll go into the menu in which you can either send a message, or if the person is online, you can actually just use video chat. We'll be seeing that soon.
So this is, once again, you can almost kind of say that between here and here, we hit the simple button up in the top left, which is kind of like our home screen. So I brought us back, and then we click contacts. That's our first click. And then the second click was going to be clicking on Cat Lady, which brought us here, and you again see the cookie crumb underneath the context menu.
Yeah, and then we've also made it such that we also put up text saying whether the person is online or not. We try to be consistent, so we use color scheme red and green. And as colorblind individuals cannot distinguish between these two, we've added text saying whether the person is online or not and what the green means. And once you click on the person's, the Cat Lady, you see that she's online, and we get another menu which is it's in the second click, and we can either video call or phone call or email or chat. And then there's also another place where it gives a basic description of the user.
So here you can leave friend or comments about your friends. They're saying, oh, this is a person I go to play bingo with, or this is a person that this, that, and the other. So you can kind of leave your own notes so that your contact list is relevant to the user. And so with that, additionally, like we mentioned, not only do we want to approach the colorblindness part, but also try to make sure that we account for as many users as possible. So by providing the online and offline text, text-to-speech can also be enabled in this particular area too, for blind users and things of that nature. So here, we're going to go ahead and our users, now I click on video call, you can see that they get a quick confirmation by the button actually changing color. And then they go to the video call content window.
And this is where you can see the users get exact information as to what's going on. It says cat lady, and then you're in a video call, so it's more like telling the user where exactly they are in the application, and then the status is connecting. That's why there's a static screen, and there's also an option of either holding the call or canceling, like in Skype sessions.
So we try to make it intuitive to understand that the 3D looking buttons are in fact buttons, things that are manipulable, whereas the flat looking boxes are just status information. So that hopefully the users don't try and click on stuff that you can't really mess with anyway. That's kind of the end of our demo. Again, as far as error correction goes, we tried to make everything very simple, very straightforward, and not a ton of options so that many errors weren't necessarily possible. The levels of interface, we only went a max of 4, and that's really the 4th level is when you see some of those advanced options. I kind of warned you that you're jumping into the advanced.
And as for the audience, it's basically going to be elderly people. So we've considered all the memory, why we had maximum level of 4, because we wanted the memory load to be as less as possible. And feedback confirmation, we did basically showed in our video that once you click a button, it turns green. So,
and as far as reversibility actions, a lot of things you might have a back button, but here, because we kept it so low down to just 3 levels of depth, and we also left our cookie crumb touch scenarios, underneath the menus on the left. That is how we reverse actions. You can go back, and again, to remind you that the simple mode, you can't really edit much, so there's not the need to reverse an erroneous entry because you're not really changing anything in this mode. You have to go to advanced, and that's for more advanced users, people who are populating this for the user. Or if you have a more confident user, then obviously they become familiar with the advanced options too. The idea behind this too would be that this would interface with a lot of different organizations, like, again, medical offices, maybe folks who are running organizations, so they'd have access in order to update some of the subscriptions a user might have. So if someone subscribed to events at their retirement home, then they would be able to get that stuff updated to their calendar automatically. They could write down or mark someone as a trusted user so that the medical people could input their future appointments for them. That'd just be a service that the doctor's office provided.
And as to keeping it familiar, we've tried to have a color scheme, basically red and green, for a person if the person is offline or online, and for the buttons, the 3D looking things are the buttons, and while the rest are the status. So we try to make it as familiar as possible and as consistent as possible, so hopefully the user won't get confused.
And so that right there was essentially our product or our storyboard. We have it so far. Appreciate you listening. You have a great morning, lunch, or night, whatever it is.